Welcome to LinkedReach tutorial number 3. In this tutorial, we're going to go over customer success stories. And the reason we're going to create a customer success story is because people first buy with emotion and then they justify that purchase with logic. So we're going to create that logic with social proof. Because successful customers is the best form of marketing for your company. But how do we write a success story? As we talked about in the previous presentation about fine dining restaurants and food trucks, is that they won't relate to a customer success story that is about a completely different industry. So though it's tempting to choose your very best customer success story, we're going to choose the best customer for each niche or industry you're trying to target. And it's okay if you even don't have your first customer or might not have a customer for every type of niche you're planning to target. Because what we're going to do is we're going to create a template. And this template is going to be used as a foundation, which you easily can switch up. But when you get a new customer, that will take 1 to 2 minutes. And you will have to do it every 2 to 3 months. So it's not a lot of effort. It will go quick. As we've mentioned previously, we're quite proud of have been working with SoftScaler, but as we also talked about, we're going to be targeting B2B office real estate customers now. So we have to switch to a different customer. Office Finder. Office Finder went from 0.2 to 2.5 million in 3 years and had a 14x ROI in just 6 months. So it's still a pretty good customer, but not SoftScaler. And now this is the last slide before we jump in and create our success story. And it's about how do the target audience see themselves. If you approach a lion and tell him, we've worked with a lot of cats just like you, just look at all our previous house cat customers, he won't be interested in that because he don't see himself as a house cat. He is this proud, big, powerful lion. But if we instead show him that we worked with a lot of lions just like him in the past and we've helped them become the king of the savannah, well, then that's a completely different story, which he might be interested in. But it's also important to think the other way around. Because if you approach house cats and sell him the dream about becoming the king of the savannah, that might be just too far from his reality. A house cat might be a company that's new on the market, which have worked their ass off just to get 1 to 2 sales calls each week. And then if you tell them, oh, we can help you get hundreds of sales calls each week, even though you might be able to do that, that's just way too far from where they currently are in their company. So we need to identify where in the growing state the target audience is, and then sell them the next step on their journey. Now we know their problems and dreams, so let's get creating. Okay, let's get going with the client interview. What's very tempting with a client interview is to send a lot of questions through emails, but it's really important that you book a Zoom meeting with your customer. And that is because people have a tendency to be very short on email, but you want elaborate questions where you can ask follow-up questions and learn more so we can write as good of an article as possible. So you're of course welcome to add your own questions, but I want you to pause this video and write down these following questions. Tell me about your business and your role. What made you decide to use our company service? Which specific result did you achieve? Would you recommend our company to others? Why not? What's been your experience working with our company, both in general and in terms of support? What do you like the most of our company's service? Were there any factors that made you consider not using us? If so, how come you went ahead anyway? This is a really important question because it can dispel any form of doubt or problems your customers might think about using your service if they hear it from another customer. So validate their concerns and then make them go away. Is there anything else you think others should know before working with us? Okay, so write down these questions, pause this video, book a Zoom meeting with your client, and get the interview going. Once you've done that, we're gonna start with a customer success article and start writing it down. And this is a very important part of your LinkedIn sales machine, so take some time to make it right. We're gonna start with a headline. This is the most important part of a success story, and it's simply because if you don't manage to capture the attention in the person's feed, in their messages, they won't even read your article. So everything else will be useless unless the headline and the image is really good. So a headline we really like is either go for the results we can achieve with your service or the bonus they get from it. So our headline is, with automation, SoftScaler increased their ROI by 16x. But a headline we've also used in the past is how save time. And this is simply because depending on what type of customer you're going with, if you're going for a big company who has a very stressful period just before summer or something like that, just before Christmas, something like this can actually captivate them because they don't have a lot of time and they maybe want more. Whereas this is more for a general audience and will catch a much wider net. So I want you to write down a catchy headline just like yours that you think will actually make people click on the article. Moving on, the lead. So now we want to build up social proof via presenting your previous customers and at the same time hook your future customers to continue reading this article. So that's the lead. For us, it's the person we interview was Peter Skog at SoftScaler. He was in need of a new way of reaching higher quality clients in a time efficient manner. And this is a quote then from our interview questions here from him. I got really captured by LinkedIn's marketing and realized that if it works on me, it will work on my potential clients too. Now that's a good quote. Moving on, after you've done this on yourself, proof. Now that we have the attention, you want to show them the numbers, show them what they actually can achieve by using our service. So for us, it's SoftScaler started using LinkedReach during 2021, and after using it for 3 months, they landed their first 300K deal. After 2 years, they come from 0 to 1.5 million in sales, with a majority of the new deals coming from our automated social selling method on LinkedIn. So these are the numbers, what the people actually can achieve, and that's what we're gonna add after the lead. So I want you to do the same thing. What did they achieve using your services? But remember, keep everything as short as possible. People don't want to read 2 pages. They just want to keep it short. Proof, and more proof. Next up, we want to add even more proof from a successful client. This is a success story. No need to be humble. So the best thing about LinkedReach and automated social selling is that it's a new and innovative way to reach our target audience. And this is quite a long quote that he gave to us. It's really good, but it's a bit too long. People won't really read a quote that long. So instead, we went with another quote from him. Prospecting used to take us hours or days. Now it's down to minutes. It's basically the same thing he talked about here, but he said it in a much shorter way, and that's much better. So if you think your customer have said something really great, ask if they could summarize that in 1 to 2 sentences, just real quick. And you can take that quote instead. So, overcome objections. Something we talked about previously in the interview is if we dispel their troubles by having our other customers bring them up first, it will make it super much easier on your sales interview. So, the objection had. At first, Peter was skeptical about enrolling in LinkedReach automation because it was a different type of selling than they've done in the past. Something that our customers might be a bit worried with. Despite the hesitation, he decided to try it out. And his quote here, if it didn't work, then the worst thing that could have happened is that I grew my LinkedIn network. And now, a couple of years later, with amazing ROI from a program, he looks back at the decision as a no-brainer. So we want to dispel their objection here. And this is one of the last things just about the client. It's a way of showing your appreciation to your client by having by making sure they might benefit from this interview article as well. So SoftScaler is a B2B consultant that help growing companies to find the right CRM software for optimal future growth. And now it's the case that SoftScaler has been sold, so we can't add a company website, but what's really kind to do as well is learn more about SoftScaler here. And then you can add a URL like softscaler.com, because in that way, people who might want the CRM software might see this and look at SoftScaler. Oh, we'll check them out, and then both of you and your client might get extra extra customers. So it's just a kind of way of showing appreciation. And lastly, we want to end with a call to action. So now they read your article, but it's really easy to click away, go back to lunch, or just make them take action straight away. So what we do is, do you also want incredible results and a solid ROI from your social selling on LinkedIn? Write an email to me or DM me here on LinkedIn to schedule a quick discovery call. On the call, you'll find out if automated social selling is the right thing for your business, how LinkedReach can help you reach your desired audience, your company's next step to generate the same amazing result as SoftScaler. So it's really important to make a great call to action here and make some space in it so that it's quite easy to read with these bullet points. I really recommend doing bullet points. So I want you to pause, go through all this, maybe pause, write them down, answer your own thing. And once you've done that, we're gonna jump to LinkedIn. So the first thing I want you to do is navigate to my LinkedIn profile, and that's because I'm gonna have an article here posted in features, which you can just copy and paste the format from. So it's gonna look something like this, and this is what we're gonna create, something easy to read. But to start creating, we jump over to your feed, and then we press Write Article. We want to publish it as you as a person. And let's get started. Let's start with a headline. We jump over to your article success story, scroll down to the headline, and copy it. Jump back, copy paste. Great. Now we got to get going with the lead here, the introduction that will hook people. We copy it, and then we paste. Now, this is a quote here, meaning we can use this block quote in the top here, block quote. And then I usually like to make it italic as well, so it stands out a bit. It's obvious that this is a quote now. Below that, we want to add some proof to show here that this quote that he actually said, it resulted in something. Looks great. And now here, I think it's a great place because what we're going to do is we're going to add a good quote from our the person we interviewed, our customer then. And what better to add than a picture of the person we interviewed, because that really sells what he's talking about. It's much easier to trust what he's saying if he's ready to go on a picture in your article. And you might be thinking, oh, I don't know if our customers actually want to do that. But the reason you're going to sell this, and maybe we want to do is you're going to add an about section where you talk about them, which might actually drive some traffic to them and some additional sales. So it's a win-win situation. But let's add a picture. You go down to add content into article. We add an image. And for this example, I'm just going to press here a random image. Looks great with this random person here. And what I want to do is, it takes up a lot of space right now. So let's align it here to the right. Then we jump back to our article. We grab one of the quotes from the person you interviewed. And then we're going to paste it there. And as this is a quote, we're also going to do its block quotes, and then we're going to make it italic. Great. What you also can do here is just show who it is. So for our case, it was Peter Skog, even though this person isn't Peter. We can just show who it is. Great. Now below this, we want to overcome their objections. So we're going to paste this. Where we talked about why he was hesitant to join in the first place. And then we had a quote in the middle of the sentence. So, oh, let's not do block quote there. Let's just do italic then, because it's the middle of the sentence and it doesn't like if you do block quote then. So let's just do that. Great. Then we're going to be kind to Softscaler because they were kind to us. So let's add something about their services, so it's easier for people who might want to jump in and use their services as well. And then in the end, we scroll down here to our hook, our call to action. Great, but what we see now is it's just a bunch of text right now. This is a bit hard to read. So let's add some headlines like this about Softscaler. And how you do this is you can just write about. You select heading 2 here. Now I copy pasted so it was a bit cheated, but about Softscaler. When you select the text and then make it a heading, it will automatically make it bold and stand out a bit more. And before your call to action here, I think it's great to do the heading like a bit more call to action about your services. So what I like to write, do you want to automate your LinkedIn selling? And I'd like to have this one on one row, so maybe we can shorten this. Do you want incredible results and a solid ROI from your social? Yeah, that looks a bit better. Just one row, quick and easy. And maybe let's add a heading here as well. But Peter had doubts. But Peter wasn't sure. Select heading 2. Now this is quite easy to read. It's short, simple, and it might actually help people convince people to use your services in the end. But now there's one thing left here, the image. So for that, what we can do is we can navigate to free software called Canva. You just create your account, and then you can, from several templates such as, LinkedIn, banner, profile picture, they have a lot of different things. But what we see here, it says 1920 x 1080 pixels. That's the size they recommend. So here in Canva, what we can do then is we can press custom size, width 1920 x 1080. Create a new design. And of course, if you think this goes a bit fast, there are 1,000 of tutorials on how to use Canva on YouTube, or if you have any other service that you like. But let's upload a picture here. Upload. So what you want to do is grab a picture of the company you've interviewed. Maybe they have something on their website. Maybe you can ask them, and they have a perfect picture they want to be used. But let's say this is Peter here, even though it's just a random person from the internet. And what I personally like to do then is take one of these blocks, a square from elements. So you press elements, you just write square or rectangle, something like that, add a shape. And then you press black color. And then here to the right, here on the right of the screen, we have transparency. And if we bring that down, it looks a bit more professional, if you ask me at least. Because it isn't perfectly clear what it is in the picture. So people become a bit more curious. Soft scalar. Let's change the color to white. Or first select the text, then change the color to white. Center that and make it a bit bigger so it's easier to see. I've noticed over the time that you don't want to put too much text or a random picture. By making it a bit dark and just not having a lot of text on it, people become a bit more curious to read more, because if it's a big headline that explains everything about your product, we're not going to be interested to press further on the article. So once you're happy with the picture itself, you go to share in the top right, and then you go to download and press download if you have PNG selected. Once you've downloaded that, you'll go back to LinkedIn and upload the picture here. Once all that is done, and you think you're pretty happy with your article, you go to next here, and then you upload it as a person. And it's quite important that you actually do the uploads. It might be tempting. Some people don't want to, bother their networks, but by doing this, you're actually making more people see your product and offer. And though it might be, a bit hard if you don't like getting the attention, as you do this over time and post more and more articles about your successful customers, people that might have said no to your services first might actually want to book a call with you. Since we have this call to action in the bottom, they can just, via these articles, come to you and get extra booked meetings. Of course, that's not the primarily reason we're doing this. It's because we're doing this because we are going to use this article in our sales funnel where we send out automated messages. But it's still just a free extra way of getting extra sales calls. Okay, great. It will look something like this, and then we're ready to head back to the presentation and do the summary. So the recap we can do here is that we created a success story article from one of your customers. We made sure to narrow it down to a specific type of customer, which we will use in our campaign. We're going to create one article per audience. It's very important. Every time we want to target a new type of audience, we're going to create a different article with a different type of customer. And lastly, we created a template now, which you can reuse as in the future when you get a different type of customer, you can just reuse this template, switch out some of the numbers, and it's ready to go. And that's it for this tutorial. Looking forward to meet you in the next one.